The story opens with a shout from our female lead, Amelia, who is trying to calm a mad dog or our male lead down. He is breaking everything in view, even the walls, while pinning Amelia on the wall, which may look romantic if his angry face didn't say otherwise. Our male lead Patrick looks unhinged and seems to suffer from PTSD, and Amelia is trying to subdue his madness and anger by saying it's not a battlefield. Though it's a lie because it's a battlefield for her every day, trying to handle and tame the mad dog Patrick. He is clenching his teeth and fists and throwing death stares at her. Our Amelia seems to be a saint with divine power by the looks of her outfit, and the golden, glowing magic she uses to calm him down. Patrick finally calms, plops down, and rests on her shoulder. It seems like this is our female lead's daily routine or quest, taming the mad dog, because she is definitely not fazed by this. Man, I would mind taming a mad dog too if he looks like him, Amelia congratulates Patrick, patting him on the back for taking 10 seconds less than before to calm down. He keeps hugging her, saying nothing while she asks to let her go. Annoyed, she pushes him away, and Patrick gives him the cute twinkling innocent look. If my dog gives me that look, I will sell my soul to give him everything he wants. So the character of our male lead is quite introverted and he doesn't speak much, neither does he get straight to the point. Typical black-haired, handsome male lead, right? Amelia looks worried and asks him what is wrong. He holds her wrist, pulls her closer gently, and asks her to stay. She gives up and gives him what he wants. It turns out that Patrick is a man who is supposed to enter high society soon, and he cannot make his debut in high society unless he learns the proper etiquette and manners, and he is far from making such a debut. But Amelia is trying her best to calm him down and make him more civilized every day. And each day, she wants to quit her job. Now, how did she end up in this situation? It all began with a mission she was forced to take on. Amelia is a priestess, and unfortunately for her, there is also a ranking system in the temple, and she belongs to the lowest and ordinary rank. As someone with no political connections or social background, she is treated as a pushover by the heads of the temples. After being a pushover for 7 years, she has mastered the art of accepting her fate and taking crappy jobs, orders, or quests from her boss. Her latest task was to check up on Patrick, who is suffering from the after effects of war. As an understaffed temple, sending her directly meant that he was a person of high status. Her boss continues to persuade her by telling her to think of the job as a charity, like giving a drop of water to someone who is dying of thirst. What a way to persuade and raise more pushovers. In response to this, Amelia asks what if she ends up dying first, which is obviously answered in a very calm way that she would find eternal peace in God's embrace, which translates to it as what it is. Have you ever reached a point where you don't care, even if your boss fires you? It is the same for her. If the task is unreasonable, she might as well reap whatever benefits she can get in the process. And even if she wanted to earn money by doing other jobs, it is illegal for priests to make their own money. Thus, she is aiming for a juicy promotion at the completion of her task, which is to help Patrick integrate into the high society as a noble, after he has gone mad after winning all the wars. But upon reaching his manor, she is greeted by a growling, mad hound. Thus her journey of taming the mad dog starts. Amelia used to work as a healing priest and helped on the battlefield before, and now she is being dragged to Patrick's mansion to help him set foot into high society. After living all those years on the verge of death on the battlefield, she is again dragged into this insufferable situation. Her luck is like a bald guy winning a comb. More information about our male lead comes into play here. He belongs to the 8th Battalion. In the fight between their country, Lancian, and the neighboring kingdom, they faced heavy defeats, and everyone thought they were going to lose. That was until the 8th Battalion appeared, composed of a small group of soldiers whose origins were unknown. They single-handedly fought the enemies and would disappear quickly, just as they appeared out of nowhere. However, they started attacking their own allies soon after that, and therefore people changed their nicknames from saviors to mad dogs. After the battle was over, the group disappeared without a trace into thin air. Their contribution in the victory was so significant that the king himself awarded them a fair share of land and titles so they could enter the noble society. He sent an order to the temple to heal their trauma and train them as actual nobles. When tasked with an unreasonable task like this, the temple head just said, "No problem. My subordinates will do all the work." And as the end result of all that, Amelia has to help the mad dog turn into not even a regular person, but a gentleman. It seems like pouring water into a rock to soften it. But let's see how the story progresses. As she continues her journey, the army chief named Rob, who is accompanying her, gives her a whistle that is supposed to tame the mad dog. Just as she reaches the mansion, she is greeted by dependable soldiers who, according to Rob, will either help Amelia bury her body or end up joining her in the afterlife. She searches around for Patrick's room after meeting the guards. As Amelia wanders around the palace, she is quite happy to see such a luxurious place, which is so different from her cooped-up mole house of a room in the temple. Finally, she enters a room and sees Patrick sitting and hugging his knees in the corner. He growls at Amelia and approaches her with contempt and anger. Our girl knows that one thing's sure: if her dazzling look or words don't calm him down, one hit from those buffed muscles and she will be serving the gods and ancestors above. She tries to talk to him, but to no avail, and he leaps to attack her. She has to resort to using the whistle as her last resort when he pounces on her. As Amelia blows the whistle, a glowing circle that seems to resemble a magic circle strangles the mad dog's neck, and he loses his consciousness and falls to the floor. She crouches down anxiously, wondering if he is breathing or not, and then realizes that she is checking up on a guy who just tried to attack her seconds ago. She tiptoes and checks his condition with fear. She is in a dilemma about whether he is just faking it to capture her or if he is actually unconscious. She then wonders if he is smart enough to even fake unconsciousness. On closer inspection, she sees a strangling mark on his neck from the whistle, and decides that she will only use it as a last resort. She tries to move him towards a comfortable area, but the man is so buff that his head doesn't touch the floor because of his back muscles. I need that workout routine as soon as possible. As Amelia examines Patrick, she notices all the wounds and scars on his body. In an attempt to help him, she sits on top of him and heals him with her great divine power. The truth is that Amelia has great divine powers, but she has kept these abilities hidden from everyone so as not to be taken advantage of by the people above her. While she is in the process of healing and wondering if Patrick would eat raw meat like a real dog, he suddenly opens his eyes and whacks his head against hers. This sends her flying towards the door with a nosebleed. Meanwhile, our dude is closing his open shirt with a sad, melancholic look like someone who lost everything, and giving glares to Amelia. Well, she is only glad that he is conscious enough to be acting all embarrassed. She continues treating him and realizes that he was just feeling anxious. The 8th Battalions were trained like dogs since childhood. They have all heightened senses and hearing. The noises and everything new makes him feel agitated. She tries to keep up a conversation with him, but he is only able to comprehend simple things and answers yes or no most of the time. Soon, the feeling of hunger kicks in, and Amelia's stomach growls, which makes Patrick annoyed. She is scared, but insists that they should eat and asks if she could bring any food. She hops and walks to the kitchen, smelling the delicious aroma of the food items, but she isn't aware of what is going to unravel in the future. Then, we are introduced to 2 new characters, a blonde woman and her son, who are part of the royal family. They are planning to visit Patrick for who knows what reason. To be honest, they look really suspicious. And on the other side, as Patrick starts eating, he suddenly coughs up blood. Amelia panics upon seeing the event unfold before her eyes and tries to heal him. But it turns out he was coughing out some really bloody red juice instead. She asks if he spat it out because he was surprised or because he was digging in his food quickly due to hunger. She realizes that she just shouted and panics, thinking that she just made him feel annoyed and agitated. He growls at her and grabs her shoulders. The girl has accepted her fate and prays to God. Her only goal in the afterlife is that she wants severance pay for all her services to God, so she can at least buy a nice small house and a garden in heaven with plenty of sunlight. However, Patrick is quite calm and just says one word to her, which is poison. Our girl is a bit slow on the uptake, so Patrick explains that there was poison in all the food items. Luckily, he is not affected by any poison, as he developed a tolerance during his training. She is relieved that he devoured all the foods before she had the chance to taste them. Early bird catches the worm, but the second rat doesn't get killed by the rat trap. Amelia is tired after all the events that happened and wants to eat something. However, she tries to cope by making a sarcastic remark on her situation, and says that she has lots of options, like starving to death, being poisoned, or getting eaten by the mad dog. Since she can't trust any food in the mansion, she decides to cook something herself. She believes that she needs to be alert and active if she wants to survive this dog pit. She then sorts the vegetables out and tries to cook, but she is hit by the harsh question, "Can I cook?" She is out there giving reality checks to herself. Well, that's okay. Making soup is just about slicing the vegetables and stirring them in a pot, at least according to her. As she starts cooking, the chief of the army, Rob, rushes to the mansion at her request. He is of the notion that Patrick took someone's life or is on the verge of dying himself, which is why he dropped all work and came when Amelia sent him a message. He is relieved to learn that it was just a case of poisoning and then starts paying attention to Amelia's cooking. He makes fun of her cooking skills and remarks that for a divine priestess, she does cook some foods that look like black magic ritual. Amelia is worried that Patrick might get angry if she makes him wait for food for too long. Earlier, she entered his room to see him standing near the window in his messy attire. She was shocked that even in his messy look, he still has that face and looks for a handsome noble lord, though she didn't know why he was holding a candlestick in his hand. No sooner did she imagine him as a noble lord, he stabbed a bird out of his window with the candlestick. He told her that it was food, and Amelia returned back to the kitchen, thinking that Patrick just wanted meat. Back to the present, Rob, seeing her cooking skills, asks her if Patrick will be alive by the time he becomes a lord if he eats this. Well, that reminds him of something he forgot to tell Amelia earlier. He casually drops a bomb on her, saying that Lady Charlotte and Prince Sevian, the shady people mentioned previously in the story, will come to visit Patrick soon because they are very interested in him. That is a great shock to Amelia, and she feels her life flashing before her eyes. Now, the question arises, who the hell is Lady Charlotte? Well, she is the mistress of the current king of the empire. Even though she is just a mistress, the emperor greatly favors her and their son, Sevian, so many people call her the third empress. Amelia is worried about the visit because she knows that Patrick is not normal. He cannot communicate properly and hates noises. He doesn't even know the proper etiquette of high society. With these strangers coming into the mansion, Amelia is worried that he might harm the imperial family, and she will be charged with the crime of treason and executed. Rob assures her to calm down because the lady would come with lots of guards, to which Amelia replies that she is not worried about them, but about her own future. Rob assures her that he will cover any minor damages, but he is not sure how to help her if her cooking takes anyone's life. He doesn't even refer to her cooking as food but rather a toxic substance. Amelia complains that this is the best she can do because all of the food in the house is poisoned. But Rob just shrugs it off as a mild complaint and says that it happens often. If it happens often, and he is in charge of everything, shouldn't he be fired by now? In the meantime, Amelia's dish is finally complete. Seeing the dish, or rather the toxic substance, Rob calls it a spawn of Satan and tries to throw it away. Amelia tries to stop him because there are no ingredients left for any more cooking. He tells her to feed Patrick poison instead of cooking something like this. Well, the substance she made is rather cute looking. It reminds me of Ditto from Pokemon. They finally decide to throw it away, and Rob assures Amelia that he will send fresh ingredients with a cooking manual soon. Suddenly, Patrick comes rushing into the kitchen, annoyed. He is huffing and glaring at them, his eyes full of hunger. He eats the so-called toxic substance and even asks for more while talking with Rob about what happened earlier. Rob asks what type of poison was in the food he ate today, and Patrick is able to identify the type of poison, since the soldiers of the 8th Battalion were trained to identify toxic substances and build tolerance. No wonder he ate our female lead's cooking so easily. After that, Amelia learns about the rigorous and inhuman training of the 8th Battalion. They are trained to enhance their innate abilities. It's the outcome of nurturing several children with good motor skills and physiques. She also learns that the training incorporated different types of spells. Amelia realizes that this is a taboo. The divine powers that exist in the world fall under the jurisdiction of the church, and apart from warrior priests, these divine powers are used only for healing and the betterment of society. Since spells are being used to train children into beastly weapons, Amelia is sure that the church is behind it. Rob asks if she wants to know if the church is involved, but she is a little scared and answers that she doesn't want to. She claims to be an average priestess who must do her job as told. Rob then tells her that all the prospects of the 8th Battalion are successful. There are no failures or losers. Amelia realizes that he wants to tell her that those who fail are discarded, as if they never existed in the first place. After all the work and the long day of tiring events, Amelia decides to sleep. She is happy with the soft, luxurious bed, and she is determined to sleep well even if she didn't get to eat well. Just as she decides to sleep peacefully, a dark figure looms near the bed. She wakes up to see Patrick growling annoyed, even at the end of the day when he should be actually sleeping. Patrick growls at her with anger, and she brings out the whistle as a precautionary measure, to which he calms down a little with a scared look on his face. She doesn't use it, and wishes to never use it again either. She can see the look on his face, which suggests that he is fighting his inner urge to tear her to pieces. She asks what's wrong, and he complains that she is too noisy, and he couldn't sleep with all the noise of breathing and footsteps. Amelia apologizes after hearing his straightforward complaint and tells him to go back to sleep. Then, a sudden realization hits her. Their rooms are far apart from each other, situated at the very end of each side of the whole mansion. She realizes that the training of the heightened senses employed with magic spells makes him hear the sound of her breathing even at such a great distance. Amelia sighs, gives up on sleeping, and asks Patrick to stay and have a chat. She makes some tea and tries to initiate a conversation with him, and he sits down with a perfect posture. As they sit down and converse, the tea gets cold, but she can't be bothered to go to the kitchen and heat it up. So she displays her hidden divine magic, and the surprised Patrick asks if she is a warrior priestess. In high-ranking warrior priests, the divine power sometimes manifests as firepower or telekinesis. Such priests are sent to war without exception, even though their basic abilities are just shooting cannonballs and arrows faster than normal soldiers. They are hailed as heroes and promoted quickly. Despite the benefits, Amelia doesn't want to fight on the front lines of the battlefield, so she keeps her powers hidden and asks Patrick to keep the secret. He keeps quiet, and she thinks that he may be unable to comprehend the words or the reasoning behind the secret. However, she believes that sharing a secret is the quickest way to form a friendship bond. He doesn't pay much attention to her and chugs the boiling tea down his throat. This shows that he was trained like a beast, with no proper eating manners or etiquette. She ponders about her situation as she pours another cup of tea. Amelia remembers that her divine powers manifested when she was a normal priestess, but she kept quiet about it as that meant more work for her. She looks at Patrick and thinks that he went through all that training and contributed to the war, risking his life, only to end up with an erotic body. She slaps her own face to come out of her Delulu thoughts. They calmly converse with each other as they savor the tea. Patrick is becoming more calm as their interaction continues. Amelia is concerned about him and asks if he could hear any other voices other than hers. He nods and tells her that he can hear 3 birds waking up, 5 mice sleeping, and guards changing shifts. Amelia realizes why he is always mad. Since even the smallest sounds cause annoyance and anxiety for him, he is always on the edge. As the night continues, she sends him away to sleep, but the next morning, she wakes up haggard. She couldn't sleep at all because she had to mind her sleeping patterns and breathing so as not to disturb him or cause anxiety for Patrick. Just as she gets up quietly to make breakfast, she hears 2 men talking loudly outside. The men had come to deliver food ingredients to the mansion. She is annoyed because they keep talking loudly as if no one warned them to keep quiet inside the mansion. The 2 men continue chattering loudly and say that they want to get hired at the mansion. Amelia is helpless and anxious. Meanwhile, as the delivery men continue their walk, they hear the growling sound of an animal. Patrick is sitting on the branch of a tree, growling and ready to pounce on them. However, Amelia sees this and tries to stop him. By the time Patrick was about to pounce on the 2 grocery delivery men, Amelia had jumped from the window too, yelling at him to stop. She did not think twice before jumping, but now she starts questioning herself for making such a rash move. Maybe all her brain cells went on a paid vacation. Patrick, seeing her fall, rushes towards her and catches her. Once Amelia is safe, she is infuriated to see the two delivery men. She yells at them to leave, not willing to listen to them. She is annoyed because they were warned to keep quiet inside the mansion and did not follow the instructions. She says that if they want to survive, they should leave as quickly as possible. The two men look up at Patrick, who is annoyed and growling, and they realize their mistakes and run away. After that, Amelia and Patrick sit silently, and she realizes that he might have regained some sanity because he actually helped catch her when she was falling. So she tries to initiate a conversation, but he is too busy growling, annoyed like a chihuahua. Amelia realizes it's just his reflex action and muscle memory to catch something that was falling, and he is still as wild as ever. He wants to pursue the men, and she tries to stop him by hugging his waist. After some moments, she sees the look on his face and realizes that he was just anxious. She calms him down, saying that the men earlier were not his enemies and only came to deliver some groceries. Amelia finds his situation totally understandable because, as someone trained in an inhuman way, and with heightened senses, he perceives all the unknown stimuli as threats to him. Patrick has spent all his time on the battlefield fighting for his life and dealing with poison foods, so it is obvious that he is always on the edge, ready to attack anyone. Amelia knows that her job and her priority is to help him live a normal life beyond the battlefield. She swears that she will help him become more humane. After sorting things out, they go back inside, but not before scolding the guards for being careless. Amelia and Patrick then walk back to the latter's room, and she tells him to lay down on the bed to see the wounds on his back. He is confused by this, so she just drags him along and lays him down to check him up. He complains that lying on the bed is uncomfortable for him, because he is more comfortable on the floor than on the soft bed. Amelia teaches him slowly to loosen up his body and to be at ease. She wants him to be normal, like any other person. She also notices that he doesn't respond much unless the question sounds like an order to him. She wants to fix this habit and wonders what it's like to be a gentle lord because all the noblemen she met till now were mean and despicable scumbags. She asks herself that she is not supposed to turn Patrick into one of those douchebags. Instead, Amelia decides to help him become the warm-hearted person that all girls dream of. However, there is still a long way to go, and it's not going to be an easy journey either. First, she tries to help him change by making him sleep peacefully in bed, and then goes to the kitchen to cook delicious meals for him. Amelia is in the kitchen when suddenly Patrick arrives there. His skin is shining and glowing after that nice nap. Since he is here, she decides to use his abilities to make sure there's no poison in food, though she feels guilty for using him like a dog to sniff the ingredients. Patrick sniffs the ingredients one by one, making sure there's no harm. After that, Amelia checks the boxes of recipe books that Rob sent, and opens the book How to Become the King of Cooking. However, as she sees the recipes, she feels as if it is written in an entirely different language because she doesn't know the meaning of half the words there. She asks Patrick if he wants to read. He just looks at the book intently, sniffs it, and says, "No poison." Amelia is exasperated, and asks him if he wants to check the contents inside and not sniff for poison. Patrick just tilts his head and stares blankly at the pages, while holding the book upside down. It turns out he can't even read because reading was not needed for battle. Amelia is annoyed because who would raise children like this, and now she is the one who must deal with the consequences. She now has to teach him how to read and write from scratch and ask if he is interested in learning. He just stares blankly, not saying anything or showing any signs of approval or disapproval. She decides to leave the topic for now and start cooking. She asks if he knows how to chop the ingredients, and he answers yes, which makes sense to her because he used to chop people up on the battlefield. Patrick is taking this very seriously, and he chops the onions up so cruelly that he makes the onions cry. He chops and slices the ingredients up so minutely that it is better than the work of an electronic mixer, which will be invented 5 or 6 centuries later. Amelia asks him how did he become so skilled in chopping vegetables, and he confidently answers enemies capture torture. Poor vegetables. They continue their little cooking session, and with the help of each other they make a nice meal. Amelia is happy that she is able to converse normally like this and that Patrick is willing to help her with his stamina and physical strength. Amelia asks him if he had fun and if he wants to cook together again, but he is trying hard to comprehend the words. After some thought, he answers yes, and Amelia feels that he is saying that only because he did not like the abomination she cooked for him yesterday. After their meal, Darian continues to try to make Patrick a better person. She asks all kinds of things he likes and hates, like carrots, spinach, meat, etc., and then asks him if he likes her too. He bluntly says I don't like, and Amelia clenches her fist to contain her annoyance. She wonders how he could say that without any hesitation, and then asks him why he doesn't like her. Patrick answers because she is noisy. Amelia is dumbfounded and cannot even refute his answer. The reason is because she snores in her sleep and grinds her teeth, which makes him annoyed. He visits her at night, ready to snap her into two because she makes so many noises. Amelia realizes it's no wonder he doesn't like her. She defends herself by saying that she hasn't been snoring or making noises in her sleep lately. But he just sighs and says, noisy. Apart from his beastly tendencies, Patrick is a smart one because he learns what Amelia teaches very quickly. Just by his looks and the way he slices his steak, he seems more than ready to debut in high society. He has learned how to adapt to the noise better, but that doesn't mean he can handle all the noise outside. Amelia thinks that Patrick can't even handle the noises in his quiet manner, so how could he handle all the yapping, chattering, and noises in the high society gatherings? She throws more questions at him and asks how could her breathing bother him. She insists that she isn't his enemy, who is holding a knife to slit his throat, but he just calls her noisy. Amelia says she needs to breathe to stay alive, but he just stares at her, as if his eyes are telling her to just die. She changes the topic and asks if he likes cats, dogs, or birds, but he rejects all the questions. He doesn't like them. He doesn't like any living beings. Amelia sulks and is determined to make him say he likes her for sure in the future. Time passes, and Patrick looks out of the window, staring at the scenery, when a leaf falls on his bed. He picks it up and looks at it. Amelia teaches him that it's just a leaf, and he does not need to fight a leaf. Patrick feels his chest thumping, and she advises him to slowly inhale and exhale to calm himself down. She has been teaching him some techniques to help him get better, and they are working. But little does she know that the seemingly non-verbal Patrick is completely capable of thinking like a normal person. He thinks that Amelia is annoying, and she always makes noises, but he feels calm around her. He experiences feeling he had never felt before. When he was fighting in the war, he was forced to eat sleeping pills or drugs to fall asleep. With Amelia by his side, he feels that it's a different form of peace. All his senses are not stripped away, and he is not thrown into an empty void like when he used the drugs and spells. Patrick is gradually getting better and better, and is starting to like this peace in his home with Amelia by his side, and the little noises don't threaten him anymore. Skip to a few hours ahead, and we find Amelia tired from kneeling on the bed. She realizes that she is acting way too polite and like a maid, and questions why must she kneel in front of Patrick. Initially, she thought if she acted a little like a maid, it would help Patrick start acting like a noble lord. However, objectively speaking, the society is based on social hierarchy, and she is a baron's daughter, while Patrick is not even a lord yet. So she realizes that she doesn't need to be so formal with him anymore. Patrick isn't really interested in all this and just bluntly answers yes to her suggestion of being informal with him. She wonders what to call him. Lord Patrick doesn't sound right at all, and he is a bit old for young master, so she just decides to call him Patrick. In response, Patrick shows one of the most scowling faces he has ever made in the story so far. The next day, Darian is talking with the guards while getting the daily ingredients delivered. The guards are worried about her because she has no maid to help and she has to deal with a crazy, mad dog alone. Amelia knows that the other people perceive Patrick as an unstable lord who suffers violent outbursts due to neurosis. Only if they knew what he actually is like. Well, at least some people think of him as a lord, so she is relieved that her work is progressing well. The guard asks if she doesn't find it difficult, and she answers that it is okay. Amelia declares that there is nothing that brings her more joy than being able to help those in need as a servant of God. The two guards are blinded by her divine radiance of kindness. They even praise her as the true embodiment of what a priestess should be like, and ask her to bless them with her divine power. A divine blessing is just a simple greeting with a touch of divine power. But really, that divine power doesn't do much other than mark the person up as someone with a bit of divine influence. However, it is considered a privilege to be blessed by divine powers. The ordinary people see it as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to have even a slight touch of divine powers in their bodies. Amelia has had enough of such encounters. Even when she was helping on the battlefield, people would seek her out and ask for blessings shamelessly. She knows how to deal with such situations well. She tells the soldiers that they would of course be blessed by her divine powers, but she would charge 20 silver for it. The two guards are shocked and freeze at the spot, as they didn't expect her to charge for such a divine act of charity. But Amelia is not someone to give up. She reasons with them that religion is all about faith. She knows that the more she insists, the more they will believe her. She convinces them that she can provide blessings only for those physically present before her. So if she blesses both of them and they pay for it, it means that their money has gone towards helping more people in the world, which is exactly what God intended. They are in awe of her wise words, and accept that giving her 20 silvers is indeed God's will. In her head, Amelia is scolding these idiots, because for people like them, even nonsense becomes God's will when spoken by a priest. The harsh reality of this world is that with a heavy workload and low pay, the priest and priestess have come up with their own ways to earn a living, and selling blessings is one of them. The two guards kneel in front of her, and Amelia blesses them. She considers herself less corrupt than the other priests, and gives the guards a 10 silver discount. The guys are very happy, and they even start thinking that the blessings might help them in their dating lives. Even though our Amelia knows that the divine blessings won't make any difference, she fulfills their wishes. After receiving the blessing, they already feel refreshed and light, and their weeks of tiredness vanished in thin air. Amelia thinks that at least she is not scamming them like some other priests. She can use actual divine powers, and if they feel better because of it, they will be more confident, look good, and be smart, which will help in their dating life. However, Amelia's hands start hurting after blessing them, and those are some side effects of blessings. Apart from the side effects, Amelia thinks that she deserves to charge money for blessings, because she is risking her life to stay here and help Patrick. She remembers how she almost unalived herself over something that wasn't a big deal yesterday. It all began when she told Patrick that she would casually address him in a moment of anger. In response to her calling his name, Patrick made a scowling face. Amelia asked if there was any problem, but he just shook his head. Patrick mumbled his own name and requested that Amelia call it again. He continued to make her call his name repeatedly, and she realized that he doesn't seem to hate it. She wondered if he felt strange, or was it because it's the first time someone had called his name normally. Patrick then said that he isn't yet comfortable sitting on the bed, so he sat on the floor. Deep down, he felt warm with someone calling his name like this, as nobody would have called a member of the 8th Battalion by their actual first name. He rests on Amelia's lap and enjoys her calling his name like this, even though he doesn't show it outwardly. She giggles at his actions and tells him that he is like a puppy playing with socks for the first time. As soon as the words left her mouth, she realized what she just said might make him mad or annoyed. She began overthinking everything and thought that she must not get on his nerves by laughing at him. But Patrick didn't react negatively to it, and instead rested on her knees and asked her to do it again. Amelia was confused and asked if he wanted her to call his name again, but he poked the corner of her lips and told her to laugh like before. Amelia replies that it's not easy to laugh when someone tells you, but she still pretends to laugh dryly, and he gives her a look of disapproval. She tells him that one doesn't usually laugh by themselves, so they must laugh together. If he wants to fit in with high society, he should laugh a lot too. Patrick is flabbergasted by this idea and thinks that laughing for him is equal to heading into the enemy camp alone, unarmed, cutting their leaders down, wiping out the soldiers, and returning back without a scratch. Laughing is a foreign act and idea to him, and his brain doesn't have the capacity to process it, so steam starts coming out of his head just by thinking about it. Amelia comforts him by saying that he can do it too, and he will be able to learn quickly because he is a fast learner. Later, she ponders and searches for ways to help him even smile for just a bit. Her reasoning is funny. Laughing shouldn't be hard for him, as his facial muscles must still be fully functional. She feels bad for Patrick whenever she thinks about the life he has led so far. Could he really blend in with people in high society and live a normal life as if nothing ever happened? As if he doesn't have trauma and anxieties after facing so many life or death situations. Amelia thinks that whether he is capable or not, she still needs to ensure that he gets to debut successfully in high society. She convinces herself that whatever happens after that is none of her business, and she just needs to focus on her priorities for now. After that, Amelia meets Patrick again, and greets him before they start their lessons and practice laughing like she did the day before. Suddenly, out of the blue, Patrick suddenly grabs her by the waist like she is a pillow. Amelia is surprised and dumbfounded, and doesn't even have time to react as he tells her that there is a person downstairs. Before she even gets the chance to ask who the person was, Patrick jumps out of the balcony barefooted while grabbing her by the waist. They crash into the person below, and it turns out to be Rob, although he is a bit effeminate now. That's the end of the video. If you are curious about what happens next, like and share this video with your friends. Subscribe to our channel and check out more such videos.